Today's video is all about testing out the reduction of highlight clipping. GoPro just released firmware version 1.20 on December 15th, and one of the new features of that firmware is reducing highlight clipping. So if you don't know what highlight clipping is, I explained it in my recent video talking about this firmware update. But highlight clipping is when you're filming and the scene is overexposed, so you lose some of your details when there's highlight clipping. And the details are going to be lost in that whiter part of the scene where it's overexposed. A lot of times you'll see that with the clouds on a bright sunny day. Usually the white parts of the sky with the clouds are going to lose some of their detail. So in today's video, I'm just going to shoot a couple test scenes for a couple minutes here. And I'm using all of my best settings that I had in my GoPro Hero 10 best settings video. I've linked to that above if you haven't seen it. And the only difference is EV comp is going to be set to 0 instead of -0.5 or -1. So with that EV comp set at 0, the exposure is going to be the default right out of the camera. And all the other settings are the exact same as I presented in that video. So I'm going to do a couple different frame rates today, and then I'm going to provide some of that sample footage so you can take a look. So from what I can see with the Quick app and in the GoPro itself, it does look like the highlight clipping reduction does help. Today there is quite a whitish colored sky up there. The sun is in and out of the clouds, so that white would definitely be a place where there would be some overexposure taking place. So it does make an improvement. I can see more detail up there for sure. I don't know if I would go so far as to put EV comp to 0 though. I think I would probably still keep it at -0.5 or -1, because then your footage is going to have those details there. They're just going to need to be brought out a little bit when you edit. And if you don't want to edit at all, then you may want to set the EV comp to 0, but I would probably still recommend keeping EV comp at -0.5 if you don't want to edit. I think that's still going to give you the best balance of detail and good looking footage. Whereas 0, I think, is still going to be a little bit too washed out in some of those brighter highlights, especially if you're outside on a bright sunny day, if you're at a beach or somewhere where you're in full sunlight. I think you're probably going to still get best results with a -0.5. So what better place to test highlight clipping than to be out here in a road outside of the trees now. I definitely see some detail in those clouds up there. Versus if I set this to 0 previously, those clouds would be mostly just a washed out, white, clear image up there. So I definitely see some details there, including with the foreground scenes. So there's definitely been an improvement there for sure. Look at all those pine cones.
Especially this one.
This tree has no pine needles, but it has a lot of pine cones. Pretty interesting. So thanks GoPro for some more innovation.